What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today, I'm looking at a Zacian V hybrid list. This will probably be the last deck list or deck profile I do before Sword and Shield comes out on PTCGO, since it comes out on there on February 6th, and then it comes out in stores February 7th. So I'll be doing my other deck profiles in the near future on PTCGO. This is the last one we'll be looking at in kind of this format. We're looking at a list by a Singaporean player, Kashvinder Man, today. But before we get into the deck list, I want to shout out PotownStore.com, where you can get all sorts of PTCGO codes like Sword and Shield packs, the Meowth VMAX codes, and Alolan Sand/GX codes. You can use code Celio for 5% off there. And also shout out to FlipsideGaming.com, where I write free articles, and you can use code Celio, all caps, for 10% off of your next order, $10 or more. So like I said, this list is by a Singaporean player, Cash. His Twitter is up in the left corner, Cashman27. And he used this at a Proxies Allowed kind of local tournament where the winner was getting a plane ticket to OCIC, and he placed top 4 there. And I thought his list looked pretty good, and so I figured... I've seen people asking for this type of list, and I thought this would be a nice one to show off, so shout out to Cash for allowing me to use this in the video. So we'll just look at the Pokemon lineup here. We'll notice that there's no Dedenne GX, but there is the Max 4 Jirachi with Stellar Wish. And I think Stellar Wish Jirachi is so strong in the new Sword and Shield standard because of the new supporter rule, remember, where you cannot play a supporter on your first turn if you're going first. And Jirachi is just so good to help you get set up without supporters. And Jirachi was already a great card regardless of this new rule, but with this new rule, Jirachi is just such a powerful card. And for the switching options for Jirachi, we'll just look over to the trainers for a second. There are 4 switch and 1 escape board. I have seen a trend of players playing a max count of switch and then a lower count of escape board due to Absol techs, which render the escape board fairly useless. So the higher count of switch is something I personally prefer as well. Next, we've got the main attacker of the archetype, Zacian V, which has 220 HP. It does Brave Blade for 3 metal energy. It deals 230 damage and then cannot attack next turn. And it has the ability Intrepid Sword, which allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck. And if there are any metal energy there, you could attach them to Zacian V and then draw the rest of the cards. So right down the line, we're going into another Pokemon card that is just insane with the new no supporter rule going first turn 1, because Zacian V technically allows you to just draw 3 cards and end your turn. So the ability, once you've used it, it does end your turn. You can't just use multiple Zacian Vs. But you don't mind ending your turn if you were going first on your first turn anyway, because you can't attack. So you can essentially use all of these supplementary setup tools, Stellar Wish to get a Quick Ball, another Stellar Wish to get a Tag Call, and then end your turn with Intrepid Sword, Accelerating Energy, draw 2 extra cards. And without using a supporter, so you aren't punished as much going first if you have all of these supplementary abilities, which is a very powerful trait of the Zacian archetypes, especially when you're maxing out your Jirachis as well. Dedenne GX is also something that's very good with this new rule, because you get to draw 6, discard your hand, draw 6 without using a supporter. Like I said, this list did omit Dedenne. Personally, I like having a Dedenne, but I also see the merit of just maxing out your Jirachis and not really needing to use Dedenne in a lot of games. So Zacian V is the main attacker of the deck, swinging 230. It's a metal type, so it gets help from Metal Frying Pan and from Full Metal Wall GX, which is the GX attack of the next Pokemon down the line. So there are 2 Lucario Melmetal GX tag teams. And the main purpose of this card is the Full Metal Wall GX attack, which for 1 colorless, the GX attack reads, your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage from attacks for the remainder of the game. And then if you have one extra colorless energy, so a total of 2 colorless energy, you also discard all energy attached to the defending Pokemon. So that attack is very, very good for setting your opponent back in tempo, and then also stopping them from dealing 30 damage to all of your metal Pokemon for the rest of the game. On top of the metal frying pans, you also have a total of a possible 60 reduced damage from attacks, making it very hard to one-shot your Pokemon. So Zacian V essentially needs to be dealt 280 damage to be one-shot, and it's only a 2-prizer that's dealing 230 damage out. And Lucario Melmetal can set your opponent back by discarding all their energy. Something like a Mewtwo or a Reshizard or a Pikarom that has multiple energy on it, you can set them back with that and then put that buffer on all of your Pokemon for the rest of the game. So Lucario Melmetal is very powerful. We've been seeing these archetypes built as Zacian Lucametal or Zacian ADP. I did post a hybrid list over a month ago that was very early in the works. But this is actually sort of a hybrid list itself, since there is an ADP in here. So ADP stands for Arceus Dialga Palkia Tag Team, and it has the GX attack Altered Creation GX for a metal and water energy. Your Pokemon do 30 more damage to the active Pokemon for the rest of the game, and you take an extra prize card when knocking out a Pokemon with damage from those attacks for the rest of the game. So this Pokemon is kind of a polar opposite of Lucario Melmetal. You actually fall behind on tempo a little bit because you're sitting this Pokemon out there with 2 energy to make your attacks do more damage and take more prizes for the rest of the game, and you're not dealing any immediate effects. Whereas with Lucario Melmetal, you're setting your opponent back in tempo to stop their stuff for the rest of the game. But Arceus Dialga Palkia is good versus single prize matchups like Psychic Malamar or Baby Blounds or any other single prizes that might pop up in this format, because it allows you to take an extra prize card for every knockout. So if you're only knocking out single prize Pokemon, then Zacian V would only have to knock out 3 of them with the Altered Creation GX effect on it. If you're knocking out GX Pokemon, you would need to knock out 2 because they would each reward 3, and if you're knocking out tag teams, you would only have to knock out a tag team and a single prize Pokemon. So it's a matchup dependent card. There's only one of it in here. It's just kind of a splash of the hybrid feel. This deck is mostly based around the Zacian Lucametal idea, but it also has the ADP in it and a couple cards to kind of help along that idea. The rest we have here for Pokemon, we have the Absol, with the ability, if your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, its retreat cost is +1, which is very good in a Jirachi meta, so they will need to have a switch or a skateboard plus an energy to retreat. And then the Oranguru with Shallow Cleverness, which I think is very, very good, that I talked about in my all normal Pokemon reviewed video. It allows you to, once a turn, replace one of the cards from your hand with the top card of your deck, so you essentially get to dig one deeper and set your top deck for things like Intrepid Sword on Zacian V. So that's all for the Pokemon. In the supporter lineup, Cash decided to go with 4 Professor's Research. It's a very consistent supporter card. I think it's a fine choice. Some people may not want to use Professor's Research because of resources in this deck like Custom Catcher and Metal Saucer and Shrine and Great Catcher and Metal Frying Pan. But it just classic discard your hand, draw 7, and you really can't go wrong with it. And then 2 Marnie, which is the new supporter card that shuffles both players' hands and put them at the bottom of their deck, and then you draw 5 and your opponent draws 4. So it's a very unique card, kind of like Judge, kind of like Reset Stamp, and with its own new flair on things. And then 2 Malolana for the switch and heal 120, which is great when you're tanking hits. A Guzmahala that can search for Stadium, Special Energy, and Tool. And then Cynthia Caitlin, which is get a supporter from your discard pile and draw 3. The tag calls can get Lucario Melmetal and ADP and the Malolana, Guzmahala, Cynthia Caitlin. I'm not a huge fan of 3 tag calls. I think 2 is just fine. Since Zacian and Jirachi cannot be searched by tag call, a lot of your main Pokemon aren't searchable by it. It can get your utility supporters, but I think I would rather have like another raw supporter in place of tag call, maybe a Cynthia or another Marnie or something like that. 3 metal frying pan, 1 a skateboard for the tools. I think that's fine. You could go down to 2 metal frying pan, but I think 3 metal frying pan is very safe, so you always have it on your important metal Pokemon. 4 quick ball, which is a must. 4 metal saucer, a must. 4 custom catcher, I think that's the way to go. I've seen more aggressive ADP variants with 4 regular catcher, which you have to flip for, but I think 4 custom catcher is fine for this one. 4 switch, which I touched on earlier, that I also agree with. The great catcher, and then 2 shrine of punishment. So the shrine of punishment can soften up Pokemon, and it does not damage your Zacian V because it's a V, not a GX or EX. So I think the Shrine of Punishment is super interesting to soften up Pokemon to make them a little easier for Zacian to knock out. And then for energy, there are 9 Metal Energy and 2 Aurora Energy, which is the new Rainbow, and when you attach it, you have to discard a card from your hand. So the only way to attack with your ADP is attach an Aurora and a Metal to use its Alter Creation. I do like energy switches in ADP lists from my testing, but like I said, this isn't an ADP list, it's kind of a hybrid. So if the Aurora Energy does allow you to get off the ADP attack when you need to, I guess that's fine. I just prefer to see an energy switch or two, but that's also saved for a more ADP-centric archetype, I think, or variant. So this is kind of a mix of the 2 Zacian V variants that we've seen. That's why I'm calling it a hybrid. I do think this list is very solid for anyone that wants to go forward testing with a hybrid list. Like I said, I made a few comments on what I would do. Maybe drop a tag call. You could also drop maybe a metal frying pan for the 2 energy switch, maybe, if you wanted to try that for the ADP games. But it also depends on how often you're actually using ADP, in what matchups, and what weight it bears for you in those matchups. So I hope you all enjoyed this deck profile on Zacian V Hybrid. I'll be doing a ton of Sword and Shield content once it hits PTCG Go on Thursday, and I'll have some more videos for you between now and then. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content in the future. Check out PotownStore.com and FlipsideGaming.com, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.